Yo, welcome to Grizz 101, the Memphis Grizzlies post-game show. We're still live in the game, but because honestly, this game is running over, and Nate is getting even more angry and grouchy. We had to go ahead and start this, but tonight the Grizzlies are coming off of an overtime loss. We're still live in the game, as I just said, but looks like the game is getting a little bit out of control. Marcus Smart just got ejected coming off the bench, and so it's been a whirlwind of things. But all in all, the Grizzlies have fought back. I'm not sure about the actual cover at this point because the line was actually 10.5. So if you are a betting person, 10.5 is getting very, very tight. But they sent to overtime, and it was a game that I think we've all kind of gave a lot of credit to this team. But overall, so many shots from Jaren. Goon is already celebrating. Goon, we all have love to you, but it's a little much. It's too late. Nate said it's too late tonight to be hearing all that, Goon. But let's go ahead and bring in my guy. Yo, wake up.
Foul. Grizzlies guy.
Excuse me.
Foul.
Go Grizzlies.
Grizzlies player, foul. Not Sabonis. He didn't foul. What? Sorry. I was dreaming I was Scott Tedorski.
All right, so the Grizzlies obviously coming off of a rough outing. It was a game they fought back well, so I don't want to give them, too much of I guess just credit for what really, they played well tonight overall. Like they had 8 players available. Jitty played amazingly tonight. Jaren took a million shots. Sabonis never fouled. It was a weird game, but all in all, it was a game that I think that you can appreciate, especially a West Coast game where they didn't kind of bail it in. And so I think that tonight is a game that I think you can look at the upside for the simple fact that this King team is they're struggling, but they're also like trying to keep out of the play-in if at all costs. And so right now, this team they are trying to win at all costs, and this Grizzlies team has kind of fought back. So thoughts on the game just overall for the top rope?
I mean, shoot. Grizz might win that game if Scott Tedorski's not in Sacramento. I was wondering what was going on because our beloved Jenna Schroeder was on the call. Shout out Jenna. Always a big fan of Jenna. Great referee.
You like her?
And I look over. I do. I think she's actually a very, very good ref. That is not sarcasm. Sorry. It's
that's the blonde lady, correct?
Yeah, it's Jenna Schroeder.
Okay.
My sarcasm may come off as reality and vice versa. I actually do think Jenna Schroeder is a very good referee.
Yeah.
Scott Tedorski is just an effing master splinter rat looking dude. And I just can't. And he's a terrible referee. So
no doubt.
It's crazy what happens. You put Desmond Bane back in the lineup, and all of a sudden this team's competing with all these Western Conference teams. Like imagine Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., so on and so not Jaren Jackson Jr., Marcus Smart, so on and so forth. Yeah. So it's fun to see that. It's fun to see Bane come in and do Bane things. It's fun to see Gigi operate in space. I was being tagged left and right on X the other night. I didn't watch that game, but I was told Santi Aldama might be the best player in the NBA is basically the general gist of what I got. Yeah, I mean, Conchar. It's hilarious that Jitty is 2 for 6 from the floor, 0 for 2 from 3, and we're like, God, he was awesome tonight.
Well, listen, I have to give him credit. I haven't looked at the final stats yet because they're still playing right now. It's 111 to 119, 12.9 seconds. At the moment, 10 rebounds for Conchar, which is honestly that's really what this team needs. They need somebody who can come in and fill that role. We know that Vince Williams has done that very much so on a consistent basis, but he has 5 steals and 2 blocks tonight. Jitty doing Jitty things is 5 steals and 2 blocks and 10 rebounds. I don't care if he ever shoots, if he's able to do that. But the great thing about it is he shot 2 of 6. I'm okay with that. He's remaining a threat. And I think that's one of the biggest things is if you are a guy who doesn't need the ball, if you're a player who doesn't need to score, but you show the threat enough where, realistically, you're at 33% tonight. I'm okay with that. The only thing I don't love is the fact that Jaren took 27 shots tonight. 1 of 6 from deep is not great. But I also will say that there is no way that Sabonis has only that many fouls. Jaren is now officially fouled out with 6 fouls, and Sabonis has 18 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 fouls. And he's mainly picked up a lot of those last 2 fouls in the last few minutes. It's not been like an all night thing where he's actually been in foul trouble. He is not at all. He had one going into the very last part of that fourth quarter. So it was a badly rough game, especially late. They kind of let it go away, and then they would call a ticky-tack foul against one team or the other. And I think that's where you saw a lot of the Grizzlies bench, including Marcus Smart, get pretty vocal on that because, they know that they're getting taken advantage of, and you can see that. So
of course they are.
It is what it is, and maybe it's the crowd that's getting under these referees, and influencing their calls. I'm not going to say that the game was lost because of the referees, but it definitely did not help, especially when you're hitting the momentum meter and you're like, it's ticking up, like it could flip in any second your way, and then a bad call, badly timed calls can really kind of just shut that down completely. It sucked.
Well, and with Scott Todorski on the call, you could just stop at bad. You don't need to say Lee times. It's just Scott Todorski. Bad calls.
Yeah.
Also, I got to pull this up because I don't know what we're talking about. I'll start it because we're not going to start off tonight like this. This is not what we're doing tonight. It's too late. We are not only missing 3 players.
Good, bro.
Okay, we're missing Marcus Smart, who is still a really good basketball player. I don't know how we're thinking he's not. Luke Kennard, who is a rotation wing on this team, best 3-point shooter, one of the best in the league. I think he's literally top 2 this year, which has been a rough year for him. Brandon Clark, Vince Williams Jr., and by the way, top 15, top 10 player in the league, Ja Morant. So, no. Listen, somebody go check on Goon. I think he might have reached the cliff.
Listen, I called him Daryl Estes earlier, and everybody knows who that is. Grizzlies Twitter.
We're at Daryl levels of
tonight. Listen, Goon,
comment section.
I will say that we love you here, and me and Nate have always showed much love to you. But we have to call you out because we're honest. And if I didn't call you out, then I wouldn't be myself.
And
so I have to.
This is why we're doing it, because we love him.
Yeah.
Because we didn't like the thing is, when it's Jaren, we're typically just laughing on the Jaren hate. I'm like, no, this is a little bit different. This is kind of like that. Oh, you make fun of the girl, then the girl leaves, and you're like, and you still put it in all caps, but really you can feel a little bit of a tear and a little bit like the heart's hurting a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, we're all tired. That was a rough game. As soon as we went to OT, I was like, can we just lose or win now? Just let it be done, please.
Yeah. So I will say about shout out to you, Heaven's Healthy Kitchen, as always. Jaren was fouled many a times. Listen, I agree. The difference is if you like Jaren is awesome in so many ways. And I have been a very much of a Jaren, I don't want to say hater. I have been I've been very critical of Jaren's game, 100%. Just because I don't think he's a high IQ basketball player at times. He's shown that. He's shown his aggressiveness. Let me put it over here. His aggressiveness, but also a lot of his thinking skills, his critical thinking this year, and learning what to do at the right times, when to take over games. And he's done that more than he's ever had. And I know he's been thrust into that. But what I will say about Jaren is he doesn't change up his moves enough to get the calls. And the reason I say that is old man, basketball, that's who I am. If you're going to your left hand every single time, as a defender to ride the right hand, because he's going to his left. And what you can do is this offhand, my left hand, I can push the hip just a tiny bit more every time and make sure I go straight up top, because they can't look at both. That's the referees. They cannot look at both spots. So they're either going to look up high or they're going to look up low. So if you give a little shove, and kind of carry them through with your left hand, I promise you that is what Sabonis was doing all night. If you go back and look at that, look at his backhand. He's riding that hip, and that's what moving the momentum of Jaren, but he's staying straight up top. I'm telling you, he has to learn to get and stick his right foot in the ground and go back to the right hand. If he doesn't learn to do that and change it up a tiny bit, he's never going to get the calls that he really wants to. But he's also never going to get the easy looks and the easy dunks because he's going to that left hand just way too many times.
Yeah, well, listen, I thought Jaren got a bunch of good looks tonight. I think he had a bunch that touched every part of the rim but didn't fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how it happens sometimes. I don't have an issue with any of the shots. If you want to say, hey, he needs to mix it up a little bit, yeah, but we've already seen growth from him this year. I assume we'll see more next year. We keep seeing growth, and this has been by far the most growth we've seen from Jaren. And again, he's been the dude who's been there the entire season with this roster they've been working with. All criticism is fair. Not all criticism. Criticism of anyone is fair. I just have a hard time really saying anything about Jaren when he's taking 27 shots, but they're all really good looks.
Well, they're at the front of the rim.
Yeah, I'm like, they're right there. So, like, I have no problem with him taking those shots. I'd say most nights he finishes more like 14, 16 for 27 with the looks that he got tonight. Also, it shouldn't be 8 for 27. It should be 8 for like 22 when you should have gotten 10 more free throws. So
let's speak on that real quick.
It was rough both ways, by the way. Like, truly, the officiating is terrible both ways. So it's not just against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, dissecting the game a little bit further, if you look at the two bigs, Jaren had 25 points as well as Sabonis. The difference is if you look at the rebounds, right? If you're looking at that 18 rebounds, which is huge overall for Sabonis, and only 2 for Jaren. Yeah. You can't be the second biggest, if not the biggest guy on the floor and only have 2 rebounds. That can't happen 100%. The other thing is the 25 points on Sabonis came on 17 shot attempts, which obviously you don't have the shot attempt whenever you get fouled. And so the 13 of 15 free throws, that factors in. They were taking the exact same amount of shots. But if you look at Jaren, he went 8 of 9. And so close, you're closing in on, maybe 6 or 7 more shots realistically for Jaren compared to the 10. And so it's not as big. It's just he wasn't getting the foul calls. So a little bit of an adjustment, I think, is changing. But to Wayne, what he was saying, and this is the funniest comment I've seen so far, is Jaren is still a unicorn out on the court, which he is, right? But sometimes he will be seen above the rainbow, but other days he's grazing the field. Shout out to you, Wayne.
That's hilarious. Listen, the Jaren thing, I just get so irritated with it because it's just a tale of 2 whistles when it comes to like a guy like Sabonis, who basically people elbows Jake in the face and somehow ends up getting an and 1 out of it.
Because he's the aggressor. That's why.
Well, but then Jaren will go to the rim and he'll stay straight up and he's not getting the call, man. It doesn't matter what Jaren does. He does not get the whistle. There's times where, he could be more aggressive. He could have better form. Dog, he does not get the same whistle as other guys of his caliber. It's just, and it's infuriating because it makes no sense.
Why do you think
that I have no idea. I think it's because they don't like his body. He's so lanky and it like looks like it's like a wounded deer, but then he knows what he's doing, but they just don't know how to call it. They think he's the one that's out of control, despite the fact he is in control. Yeah. But it doesn't matter why. They got to freaking fix it. I mean, he's a defensive player of the year. What do you have to do to get a good whistle at this point? I mean, truly, like, I don't know. Like, Rudy Gobert gets a better whistle.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do at this point. So that's why I get so mad when people are getting on Jaren, because I'm like, he gets hacked every night and doesn't get it, man.
Yeah. Well, I think you got to I think this is something that he needs to work on. I think in the past it has been his aggressiveness, and as Black Ninja DJ saying, is the thing about Jaren tonight, his aggressiveness in that second half was through the roof. It was so much better. Mm-hmm. But the problem with him is you have to learn how to get those fouls. And as I was talking about that earlier, and I'm not gonna keep harping on it, you have to make some adjustments. And I think that, listen, he's never gotten the calls, but he's been much better defensively, not getting those calls called on him, right? He's learning. Year after year, you have to continue to grow your game. And I think that they're going to look at next year is how can I get to the front of the rim, but also how can I make sure that I am getting those calls? Like, what is it? And I think that once he gets to that point, I think he'll find out exactly how to get those calls because he has been less clumsy, this year, 100%. But he's still long and lanky. He's still growing into his body. I don't think everybody realizes that.
Crazy.
The dude is still growing into his
Crazy
body.
that he's still doing that
Because he looks like a baby giraffe at times, and I understand because he's still growing into his body. So, shout out to him. Listen, he's been the one shining light in the season so far. And so he'll learn to get those calls. It'll take time. And as D'Angelo's saying, is that he will learn to get those calls. It's just a little bit of a tweak. And and just like Sabonis is getting them now.
It's also just a criticism of the modern NBA that you have to learn how to get foul calls. Like freaking just call the fouls and don't be dog shit, Scott Twarowski.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hey, listen, I'm assuming the kids are in bed.
all the kids are asleep. This is Grizz.
There's a solution. Don't make the players learn how to get calls. Just don't be bad at your job and make the right foul calls. There's a solution.
Wow. Look at you. Look at you.
Solving problems by being not a dumbass. Sorry, it was infuriating watching. Again, it was both ways tonight. I don't want to come off like it was all just like bad calls on the Grizz. I'm just like, dude, how can you not figure out a consistent whistle over 4 quarters? Terrible.
Yeah. All right, so listen, I'll bring this up. Last thing I'll bring up probably from Goon because it's kind of it's annoying. Honestly, I love you, Goon, but this is annoying. Y'all say he's growing up, but Chris Bosh, Lamar Odom at 24 years old look way better than footwork wise. Let me explain.
Literally growing.
Let me literally explain something to you. Lamar Odom was not good. He was not good. Not like I'm telling you, not good. You know what he had? He had the Bean. Kobe Bean Bryant is the one. He's not the best. He's one of the best all time. You know what he did? He flicked the bean of Lamar Odom and made him good.
I knew you were going to do it. I should not have done that.
He made him good. I promise you, Lamar, not that good. He is mid in this league. I'm telling you, the bean made him good. Chris Bosh, he was fine. But what was Chris Bosh doing before he got with LeBron and Dwayne Wade?
Losing in Toronto.
Empty stats. I promise you, Jaren is good. Just relax. Just enjoy him. He's not tripping.
Everybody.
You're not tripping.
Relax.
All right, let's get off of him. All right, let's go. Let's go through this a little bit. I want to talk about just kind of some of the stats and some of the guys throughout the game. Anything else you want to hit on? Mainly Jaren. Let's go ahead and close shop on Jaren. Anything else you got on Jaren before we move on?
I mean, the rebounding has to be better, but I have no issue. Again, all those shots I thought were good shots tonight, other than the threes. He is what it is.
Yeah. As King Meek saying, Bosh was hooping for the Raptors. Bro, Bosh was dominating, but he was losing. Like, I'm not saying but he was the best player on the team. And so if you give him somebody else on that team, yeah, he was good. The problem is I think Jaren is going to be better than Chris Bosh ever was. 10 years from now, play this clip. All right, let's go to this game real quick. If we're still around here for 10 years, then listen, we've done some good things. Nate, we've done some good things. All right, let's go to Aldama tonight. Thoughts on Aldama, 14-9. A good game out of him, just overall. I didn't see anything bad that kind of stuck out to me. Any good or bad that you
Sarah
want to talk
did, but that's what she always does. It's the same thing. I was wondering if we're being too hard on Santi. I'm still not like, oh yeah, Santi's a 7-foot hooper or whatever, but he looks better with the guy with the ball in his hands and needs to have the ball in his hands.
His usage rate is so low compared to what it was.
It's like he's looked better.
Be that guy.
He was always going to look better when you have someone like Des come back. Now, does that make him a piece?
Yes.
He's
a piece that you can put in your rotation. He's also a piece that you can move on from.
Okay, thank you.
Needed.
He's
a piece, though. He is.
He's a guy.
He's a guy in your rotation. 100%.
He's a guy. So, and listen, he's got 9 rebounds tonight. I thought he looked more aggressive on stuff like trying to go get boards tonight and defensively. So maybe it's a full mentality shift. That's the thing is I didn't see any reason he couldn't be aggressive in those respects of the game, regardless of who's on the floor. If you want to say offensively, he could be a lot better, then with other guys around him, that makes sense. I'm like defensively and rebounding, like what's stopping you right now?
Yeah,
Then maybe it's a full mentality shift. I don't know. Again, I was told he was the greatest Spaniard to ever play basketball, basically, against OKC, which I, again, did not watch. My sister was in town, so I wasn't able to watch it. But tonight, I like what I saw. He looked much better out there, for sure.
No doubt.
The one for me, though, Gigi.
Well,
like we talked about this.
One more thing on Santi. I know that Marco brought up the grenades, throwing the grenades. The problem is, I know we watched one together. We saw one. Unfortunately, that's part of the game. But the other thing is the dude will take any shot. He has no care in the world where it is. And if the clock is down below 5, somehow the ball gets back to him and he will take it. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying it's the worst thing or the best thing. I just know that when you need to get a shot off, he is not scared to get his shot off. And so I will give him props because a lot of these guys are scared to take that shot even if they're not open. And so as Marco's saying, he's not mad at it. I promise you, like I would rather have somebody that has the courage and confidence to take the shot than somebody who kind of backs away from it.
Well, listen. That even the one I got mad at in overtime, I'm like, why are we taking Santi Aldama 40-foot threes in overtime? And then it was halfway down, and I was like, oh, I mean, okay. Oh man, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. So,
all right, let's go to Gigi real quick. What's your thoughts on him tonight? Overall, he played 22.7 rebounds. He still doesn't pass the ball, 0 assists, 4 of 8 from deep, 8 of 13 overall.
Well, how much easier does the game look for him and with Desmond Bane on the floor?
It's so simple compared to what it was.
We talked about that a lot, though. That's why I bring it up because, again, I didn't get to watch the OKC game. I think I saw it was a decent GG game there as well. Maybe a good one. I can't really remember the stats, but we talked about Desmond Bane, John Morant get back, and GG gets to just be an athlete. Exactly. He just gets to be an athlete, play off of those guys, and he gets to operate in space. Life's going to get a lot easier. Instead, he was at the top of the whiteboard. You know, it's like, who else? Jaren, and then who? Especially when Vince went out. So
what I see in GG is, and I
hell in this house.
I compare GG. just listen. We can't X-rate this even more. This isn't completely after dark. Kids are awake somewhere. All right, so the GG thing. I will say that he reminds me a lot of, and being in the position that Andrew Wiggins was for the Warriors, like, is kind of the ultimate X factor. Like, you don't expect him to be a major contributor every single night, but he's a guy that could honestly flip a game in an instant, and he could knock down a bunch of open threes. He can be athletic enough to go grab rebounds, block shots, and kind of do a little bit of everything, but he isn't consistent enough and not somebody that you would like kind of lean on each and every night, but he's a guy that really could win you games. That's what Andrew Wiggins did. I know for the Warriors for a good bit. But you know, that's really what I see in him is kind of that fit. And that's how he could be for the future.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we talked about, I think, putting GG in a top 7, top 8 type role is putting a lot on him for this summer, saying, hey, you gotta take some jumps this summer. You gotta really develop some this summer. But you see him with these other guys around, and it doesn't seem like as tall of a task. Right. And again, it's still crazy how young these guys are. And we were talking about Jaren and how young he is, right? And he's like a vet at this point on the team, right? And he's what, 24? Is he even 25 yet? I think he's 24.
Ask Goon.
I don't know. Yeah, Goon knows everything about him. It's honestly kind of creepy, but maybe kind of cute at this point. Ja's super young. Dez is super young. And then you got Gigi. And it's like, dude, he's
the baby bear.
He's not just young. He's 2 years away from being able to drink legally. So it's like, I mean, like, what are we talking about, right? It's just wild. So the only reason I think that's even a conversation is because they are they need to start trying to win. They need to contend. The window is here. It's time to start doing that. So that's why you start talking about that. But that's the main thing I want to talk about is you come in from him having to operate at the top of the whiteboard to just down like a notch or two because Desmond Bane's back. Right. But all that focus that goes on those guys makes life so much easier. And then, it's just cool seeing Dez come back. And I think it's a good sort of like in some sectors of the world, we'll see about others. But hopefully Grizzlies fandom can kind of like breathe and remember, oh, yeah, we're missing a lot of guys. And also, they're like our best guys. Like, it's not like, oh, we're missing Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter or something like that. It's like, no, it's the equivalent of missing your Joel Embiid, missing your De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, SGA. Like, these are the guys we've been missing, right? So even if it was, like Goon was saying earlier, only 3 players, it's still not only 3 players. Yeah. It's Ja Morant and Desmond Bane. Who Desmond Bane, I mean, I still feel like people don't recognize that he was on an all-star trajectory this year.
He was.
It's going to be awesome when we have all these guys back. And then obviously I'm ready for free agency and the draft with that. But it's fun to see these guys be able to operate with that around them. And I haven't looked at the schedule, but hopefully they get a couple of more not easy matchups. Yeah. But yeah, sort of something like a Warriors, Spurs, Lakers, Magic, more like winnable matchups.
Oh, there's not many left. Literally. There's a Piston game, there's a 2 Spurs games.
Well, 2 Pistons games, that's Sixers game. The Sixers are nothing to write home about without Embiid. Spurs.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying there's no team on here that you're like, all right, they're going to bend over and just let us win one. Like, it's not.
No, nothing like that. Yeah. But these are teams that you say you throw Desmond Bane back in the rotation and it goes from you should definitely be an underdog to no, you can compete in these games. Yeah. Yeah. Right. I mean, 100%. If you told me the Kings and the Thunder were Dez's first 2 games back, I'd be like, yeah, well, that's not going to matter very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Speaking of BC, he should be coming back soon. But also Marco was saying that we're missing, 45, points per game practically. Yeah. Like if you look at it, the stats, that's really what you're missing. You replace some of these shots that, tonight that Deke Giroux has taken. You change those with Marcus Smart. That's the game, right? That's the flip of the game. That doesn't even include Ja Morant. But also wants to know how many games left. It's 13 is the magic number we have left. And I know that King Meeks is very interested in Grizz Trivia. We're going to talk about it's going to be a record that we're going to discuss on as we get to Grizz Trivia in the second segment that is coming up very soon. But before we get there, let's go ahead and finish up what we're doing. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to ask you to choose between one guy or the other. I want you to give me your honest answer, who you would pick between these 2 guys.
Okay.
You have John Conchar and David Roddy.
I mean, damn you, son of a bitch. Conchar.
I think he's playing much better than David Roddy was even when he was here. I really at this moment.
Well, he's playing, so that's
that is true.
Plus. I hate you for that question.
Deke Giroux or Scottie Pippen Jr.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Scottie Pippen Jr. or Derrick Rose.
Not comparable. That they're not. It's not the same thing. Yeah, I would rather have Derrick Rose, but not for the play.
Yeah. Listen, I understand. I'm just asking the question. And the last one I'm going to ask you is Jake LaRavia or Zaire Williams?
Jake LaRavia. It's crazy because I literally thought about this during the game. I'm not kidding. I was sitting there and I didn't have anyone to talk to. I'm sitting by myself like I always am these days. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game. And to myself, I'm like, damn, like Rabios looks like, dare I say, good? Like I would, and I was like, I trust him. The verbatim thought I had in my head was I trust him more than I trust Zaire.
Wow.
Listen. Chris is bringing up recency bias. It's like, dog, like, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. One of them actually has played basketball. So, yeah, there's another part of it. Yeah. How many games has Zaire missed over the past 2 years? I don't know if Zaire can play basketball anymore. We talked about this when, I think it was Sean was on. It's like, dog, Zaire was looking good, but then he got hurt and he's gone. Like, you only have to work with what you have to work with. Yep. Jake has looked more consistent than Zaire. He's crashing the boards. To be honest, even defensively, there was a play tonight where I'm like, damn, that's good defense by Jake against De'Aaron Fox. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, he's done everything he could possibly do.
Yeah. Listen, he has looked very well, and I you know.
Plus, King Meeks is going to kill Zaire. He ever starts to play again. So. That's the other part. Oh, man.
Shout out to you, Keith Meeks. Shout out to all of you for just kind of hanging on with us. I know it is a late night, so we're not going to take too long. We're going to speed through this next segment for sure. But before we get there, as you always know, Streetcars of Memphis is our sponsor for the comment section. And so go show them some love. If you need any kind of, anything done, work, whether it is from, lift kits, wheels, whatever it might be, go ahead and give them a shout out for sure. But for this month, go ahead and use Grizz on a 1, receive $55 oil change or $65 for full synthetic. There's huge savings taking place down at Streetcars of Memphis. Go check them out online at 901scm.com or call 901-323-3332. You can schedule your oil change, any maintenance that you might have. If you have something going on, something's ticking, take it to the Streetcars of Memphis. They'll be more than happy to help you. And anything you want to customize, if you got a little extra bonus, a little extra change in your pocket, you want to hook up your car, make it look good. You want to pimp your ride, go ahead and hook up the Streetcars of Memphis, and they will make sure they take care of you. So anything that you need, go ahead and give them a call. All right, so before we get off track even more, I do want to ask y'all a question that I'm going to come out with in the right after the break. So make sure you stay tuned.
What do you think is more of a priority for this team? Because you're starting to hear a lot of rumors coming out about teams that are willing to make trades. I'm a big wing guy. This is Memphis. We barbecue in Wing City. So I also understand the importance of big men. The best players in the league are all bigs.
If you're making a player in a lab, absolutely you want to build a Paul George player. You want to build the big wing, Kevin Durant, whatever. Like
Gigi Jackson.
Yeah, or Gigi Jackson, which actually I was thinking about. Oh, what about Gigi, Anthony? But unfortunately, those guys aren't out there. And like, even when you start naming specific names of guys you want to get, like the quality drop off goes down quick. I do think the Grizzlies' easiest avenue to immediately improving next year and getting on the cusp of like being, like a Western Conference finalist, or maybe if you get all the great breaks going your way, is improving your center spot, just because but there's just more of those guys I feel like available to help you out.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, welcome back. We are Grizz 901, the Memphis Grizzlies post-game show. Thank you for hanging out with us. It is after midnight here, Central Time. The Grizzlies do go down 121-111 to the Kings. And so if you've been here with us this long, we're going to have some fun at Grizz Trivia. But I do have a question for you all. If you could just give me some advice on what we should do. So Friday night, Nate will not be joining us. He'll be on vacation. He's taking the night off. We're playing the Spurs. There's many people I could ask to come on the show for sure. But I'm trying to, instead of getting the same people that we have on a consistent basis that might sub in for either Nate or I was trying to think outside the box because I had a few extra days to think about it. And so anybody within Bluff City Media, or if there's somebody is outside of Bluff City Media, if there's somebody that you are interested that I should reach out to try to bring on. The problem is, and this is just me being honest and transparent, that I would have to have them on for the whole show, in my opinion. But the other thing I was thinking of is how interested would you be? Because Friday night, the end of the first round is happening for the NCAA tournament. So there will be 4 games going on when we go live. And so it will be 4 games. Most of those, I think one of those is a West Coast game. And so I'm curious, I've thought about doing a first 30 minutes or so for somebody who wants to talk Grizzlies only, and then the other half we go and talk to somebody that's going to talk about just the NCAA tournament, whether it's what we saw the last 2 days and maybe what we're going to see the next 2 days for the first weekend. If you're interested in that at all, I think that would be interesting to actually break into the tournament a little bit. I think that would be something cool to think about. But if you want to keep it to only Grizzly stuff, I'm completely down. And so we'll bring on whoever, wherever. I am going to try to reach out to we'll bring on Goon and King Meeks at the same time. Jeff Calkins will be sleeping. I am going to reach out to Doc Holliday again, also, as well as who would you say? Jarvis Greer. It's a Friday night. I don't know if it's a possibility. I'm going to reach out to CJ Hurd as well. But let me know your thoughts. I don't speak Spanish, Mickey. I apologize. But if anybody does, let me know. But I will say that I think we can have a fun time with it for sure. And if you do want to talk about any kind of NCAA stuff for the second half of the show, let me know. If not, if I don't see anything, then I'm going to go ahead and keep it Grizzlies related only. But that's it. That's all we got. So let's go ahead and get to Grizz Trivia.
Say mucho gracias, Mickey. It was a compliment.
Oh, I like it. I don't speak Spanish, so I appreciate that, Mickey.
Neither, but Google does.
Google speaks it for sure. The Grizzlies are officially 8-27 at home this season. They have officially 3, 4, 5, 6.
So sad.
They have 6 home games remaining, Nate. This has been a tough year, especially for the fans in the Grindhouse. But if you were to say that the Grizzlies have played well at home, would you say that that's a yes, like an overwhelming yes? They play well at the Grindhouse on a consistent basis, year over year, not this year.
Oh. I mean, recency bias says yes, but I feel like that's not the case. I feel like they've always been kind of like fine at home.
Okay. Well, over the last 2 seasons, for sure, they've went 65-17.
Yeah,
at home.
recently, that's what I'm saying. They've done awesome at home.
They've done, for the most part, they've done pretty well. The Grizzlies are now 8-27 this year. I know that we have 6 games remaining where they could potentially have some wins there. What's your thoughts on the record? How would you say this ranks all time within the Grizzlies? I think it's 28 seasons overall. Where do you think that this home record of 8-27 ranks throughout the entire time here while in Memphis?
Okay. Out of 28 seasons, 8-27 would be
not good.
Clearly not good. I'm gonna say, Jesus Christ. So you basically won 8 out of 41 games. I'm gonna say, I think it's 28. I'm gonna say 26.
26. So you're saying there's 2 other seasons that have been worse than 8-27 at home.
I'm hoping so.
The Grizzlies have had a very good record at home, Nate. This will be the worst season ever at home. Let me also explain a little bit. As of right now, they can officially tie the second worst season ever at home if they were to win all 6 games. Their worst record of all time at home is 14-27. They did it back-to-back years, 06-07 and 07-08. Back-to-back seasons, they were doing that. So any loss, the Grizzlies will have the worst home record ever in the franchise's history. If I had to give you an extra bonus one.
Guess what?
The Grizzlies, not including this season, what do you think their home win percentage is? At home every season, not counting this year. I don't want to count this year just yet because it's not over, but just their win percentage at home.
I'm going to say approximately 53%.
You're not even close.
Pretty close.
The Grizzlies' home win percentage all time in Memphis, 68.5%.
Let's go. That's nice. That's way better than I thought it would be.
The reason I want to say that is because obviously the Grizzlies do have a lot. They're on the road right now, and so listen, it's been bad. It's been absolutely horrible at home. I haven't looked at the away numbers, but I guarantee you that we are probably fairly consistent with how we play on the road. We are a terrible road team. Some of those road games, I mean, road records are like 8-27, like at times. And so, yeah, so the Grizzlies are 68.5% win percentage, of 5,525 to 360.
I just had to pull this up. It's hilarious that someone said anus.
But yeah, there is 6 games remaining at home: Lakers, Pistons, 76ers, Spurs, Lakers, and then the end Nuggets on a Sunday. And so 525 and 360 is the all-time home win percentage. So this year it's been weird. They played well on the road. They played terrible at home. And so as King Meek says, we are very much trash on the road. Normally this year we're opposite. So little bit of light, to a terrible season. I think we can kind of flip that record into a 27-8 this time next year for sure.
I think I've always had a bad taste in my mouth because I always lost the home opener.
Yeah.
I always would lose the home opener. And so I'm always like, oh, they're terrible at home. But really just the one game every year.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking at some of those seasons like 01-02, like the first season was 15-26 at home, and then it goes 20-21. But I don't know if you realize this. The third year, the Grizzlies were 31-10 at home. And then they had 3 seasons in a row, 26-15, and then a 30-11 at home at 05-06. And then it got bad, right? It was bad. It was bad for a while until 10-11. They went 30-11, and then from there it's been crazy good, except for the other bad season of 17-18. And then the 20, and then the bad season of COVID was 18-16, I believe. So, listen, it's been rough, but it's been something that we can look at and say that, hey, it's only going to get better. So we'll see.
Yeah, they're going to be just fine. This year, honestly, the weird part is that they played well on the road, not that they played bad at home. They should be playing bad everywhere.
Yeah,
with this roster.
No, absolutely. So, anything else you got on that? I think it's interesting to look at a lot of the glass half full sometimes, because no matter how down it gets, I promise you it can be worse, but it has never been this worse. So it allows you to understand, like, hey, it's been pretty bad this year for sure.
Well, it is just odd, like that if they're gonna play well anywhere, it's on the road. Like that is just interesting that they struggle so much at home this year and then didn't struggle on the road, right?
Yeah. Any beef you've seen between Ja and Fox? I have not seen it. I'm not aware of it. D'Angelo saying that they usually dap up everyone except each other.
No idea.
So I obviously don't see it. Usually after the games, I promise you, I click the button and I just roll. I don't see anything after a game normally.
It's fair to say.
So I apologize for that. But yeah, I don't, listen, I didn't want to spend too much time tonight on a bunch of stuff and kind of going through this. I want it to be kind of an easier night. I do have a full schedule ahead of me this week. I was off work all last week. So this yesterday or today, I guess, was pretty busy for sure. And so I want to go ahead and make sure I get some sleep, but also shout out to Ryan Meadows, who's probably asleep now. We record a podcast in the morning. It's for free basketball. So check it out. We're going to have it on the Grizz 901 podcast network. So wherever you can get us audio only, they always upload their free basketball stuff. So if you are interested at all in college basketball, he's putting up a bunch of episodes up about college basketball. And so make sure you tune into that. But in the morning, we're going to record a spot for just breaking down some of the regions and stuff like that. So if you want to, interested in any kind of a breakdown on college basketball, anything at all, we're going to make sure we have that in the morning. And then Wednesday, I'm officially going to be an official contributor on Driving the Line. I know I've talked about that a lot. A lot of it came from, honestly, from this show, given the opportunity. And so I'm going to be a main contributor every Wednesday and for that. And so I will try not to be as clumsy or as soft as Jaron while I'm on that show. Shout out to you, Goon.
Ooh.
But
Ooh,
it should be a good time. Nate needs a shot of Red Bull, everybody's saying. Nate's tired, man. Give him a break.
Yeah, no, I'm real sleepy.
Yeah, we know. And you're an hour after, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, well, I actually like exercise and stuff. So you know what? You need to have your old man game at 9 p.m. So I know you didn't do nothing today.
Had a game at 7. I feel like my plus minus was, I did have a game at 7. I guess my plus minus has to be incredible tonight because we were winning by 10. But every time I'd go back in, we're down 4. So I had a really good plus minus tonight. And so maybe I'm just big, thick white boy going in.
I think you need to end the show.
Absolutely. I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
That's terrible.
Before we end the show, let's get a little bit about Pew's Residential Spray. Just got sprayed last week from them. They're now officially my father-in-law. Shout out to him. If anybody's wondering, he went through open heart surgery, had a quadruple open heart surgery, whatever it's called. And so has recovered fine. I believe that he might actually be able to go home from the hospital tomorrow. And so he's crossing a lot of stuff off his list. And the doctor's kind of possibly looking at him going off home tomorrow. So either Tuesday or Wednesday, he'll be going home. So shout out to him and prayers up. Hopefully he keeps kind of a long process ahead of him. Usually the first month after a big surgery like that is tough, but he now has Pew's Residential Spray at his house because he looked at my yard and thought, I need to look like Daniel's yard. But Pew's been around for 30 plus years servicing the Mid-South. They also are doing all of your residential stuff. So make sure you go check them out. You can call them at 901-633-2118 and let them know the Grizz 901 crew sent you. Remember, Pew's, you get that big company strength, small company values. And Nate.
Delayed pause. You started out by saying, I just got sprayed by those guys. I didn't want to screw Pew's over because they're awesome. I want to let you get through it, but delayed pause. You just got sprayed by those guys today.
All right, so real quick on Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. I don't know if he's still in here or not, but I want to give him a shout out. I'm going to completely butcher what he sent me today. I was just kind of up to my eyeballs and doing things today. But Heaven's Healthy Kitchen is changing their pop-up. And so if you are somebody who's, going to, always hanging out, about Heaven's Healthy Kitchen, it is a vegan, plant-based diet. Not diet, but good food, gourmet food. They're changing it to April the 7th. And so make sure you kind of stay tuned to that. But it will be at the same address as it was last time. You can go over to their socials and pull that up. But the main thing about that is they are changing it to the 7th. And then also the other thing is he's trying to do a GoFundMe. If anybody's wondering, he's trying to do a food truck or a food trailer. And so I think that'll help him out a long way.
Very cool.
And so he's trying to do that. And so he's trying to do a GoFundMe. I think it'd be important. If you love his stuff, you want to support him, go over to his GoFundMe. If you send us any of your information, we'll be more than happy to share those links with you. I have no way of doing it right now on here, but I'll try to put it in somewhere if we can. And so that's it, man. Just make sure if you're tuning in, make sure you show some love to our people that show love to us. But Heaven's Healthy Kitchen, grassroots business started right here in Memphis. It is a healthy option. They're serving and catering plant-based and vegan gourmet food straight to you. Go check them out at orderhhk.com. But Chef Smith's always in here with Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. So shout out to you all. All right. End us, Nate. You got anything else besides everybody talking about me getting sprayed in the chat?
No, I think that's a perfect note to end on, actually. Nah, man. Listen, I think it's fun. It's I was actually bummed I didn't get to watch the game the other night. I snuck in like 3 minutes in the third quarter while everyone else was kind of like getting to the car. So that's what I was doing. But it's kind of fun to have Bane back and be able to watch this and know BC's coming back. So glad we're able to watch that. I'm looking forward to the game Wednesday night. I'll have some Red Bull at the ready.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a good time. Wednesday, listen, our shows within the Warriors fan base has always been big. And so I'm hoping we have some people in here. I'm going to do one thing for King Meeks. I'm going to bring in my cat next time. I'm going to open my door and allow her to come in. She'll hang out in here with us just for you, King Meeks, just for you. All right. That's all we got. Listen, it's been awesome as always. We're going to cut a little bit shorter than normal just because it's after midnight, but it's on the West Coast, and you guys are always the best. And so big things coming for this show. And so a lot of things behind the scenes that are working on, and a lot of things we're looking at for the future for next year. So make sure you stay tuned. But that's all we got. We'll see you all Wednesday night for the Warriors game. Be nice and tell your friends.